My name is Helen Graves. I'm 61 years old, recently retired, and I live alone in a quiet suburb outside Denver, Colorado. I raised one child, my daughter, Mia. I've spent the last 3 decades doing everything in my power to give her a life full of choices, safety, and comfort. Not luxury, just peace. Something I never had growing up. I was a single mother from the time Mia was 8, after her father Eli left us in the middle of a brutal winter with no warning, no apology, and no return. I didn't complain. I worked 2 jobs. I sewed clothes at night, cleaned houses on weekends, and eventually worked my way into a stable job with the school district. I stayed. I showed up. I listened. And I loved her, harder than I ever thought I could love anyone. Then, last Thursday morning, I got an email that made my stomach go cold. Subject line, Mia's wedding update. It wasn't from her wedding planner. It wasn't from her fiancé Nathan. It was from Mia herself. My heart lifted at first. I smiled, clicked the email open, expecting photos of her dress or a sweet note about the big day. Maybe she needed help with centerpieces. Or maybe just maybe she wanted to do a mother-daughter lunch before the wedding like we used to. But then, I read the first line. Hey Mom. So things are getting a little tight with the guest list, and Nathan's parents really want to keep the ceremony intimate. I froze. My hands hovered over the keyboard. I kept reading. We've decided that it's best for you to attend via livestream instead. We'll send the link the day of. That way, you can still be a part of it but things stay simple. Hope you understand. No apology, no explanation, no emotion, just a link. Just like that, I had been uninvited from my only daughter's wedding. My chest went hollow. My breathing slowed, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Instead, I read the email again, slower this time. Like maybe I had missed something, like maybe. There was a hidden paragraph that said just kidding, but it was all there. Clear, cold, livestream, as if I were a distant cousin. As if I were no different than a stranger, on Facebook. I stared at the screen for a long time. The clock on the microwave ticked past 10. My coffee went untouched. My dog, Clover, whined at my feet, sensing something was off. And finally, I replied. 4 words. Sure. Enjoy your day, no fight, no begging, no guilt. I closed the laptop and walked to the window. Outside, the neighbor's kid was learning to ride his bike. His mother ran behind him, arms ready in case he fell, and all I could think was, how many times had I done that? For Mia. How many times had I been the only one clapping from the bleachers, the only one awake at 2 a.m. when she had nightmares, the only one who showed up, and now I wasn't even worth a seat. I walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer where I kept a little folder labeled wedding fund. I had pulled $35,000 from my retirement savings over the past 2 years to help her with this wedding. I'd already wired $20,000 for the deposit on the venue. The rest, $15,000, was waiting to be sent for the final catering invoice. That email changed everything. I grabbed the folder, closed it, and slipped it back into the drawer. Then I called my financial advisor. The drive to the office the next day felt different, quiet, but not in a peaceful way. I kept hearing that line from her email over and over. You can still be a part of it via livestream, like I was being offered a consolation prize. I spent most of the day staring out the window, when my friend Clara from my book club texted me, so excited for the big day. Are you picking out a dress yet? I didn't even know how to respond. At lunch, I finally opened my phone. 7 missed calls from Mia, 3 voicemails, 1 text. Mom, can you please call me? I think you misunderstood. I didn't reply. I didn't call, because I hadn't misunderstood anything. I had finally understood it all. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and went out to the back porch. I sat there watching the moon, petting Clover's soft ears, and trying to understand how we had gotten here. How does a daughter grow so far from the mother who raised her? How do you go from being the person she ran to every time she scraped her knee, to being told to stay home and watch? And then, something shifted inside me, not anger, not grief, just clarity. I didn't matter to Mia unless I was doing something for her, unless I was paying, giving, sacrificing. But if I asked for anything, a moment, a seat, a little dignity, too much, too complicated, uninvited, I didn't sleep much that night. I sat on the couch with a blanket and some old photo albums. Mia in her prom dress. Mia on her first day of college. Mia crying in my arms. After her first heartbreak, Every photo looked like love, but love, I realized, is not just about what you give, it's about who stays. And I had stayed for 32 years. Now it was time to leave, not loudly, not with rage, but with stillness and a plan. The next morning, I went straight to the bank, not the one in town. I drove 30 minutes out to the small credit union I opened an account with years ago. The one Mia didn't know about. The one where I kept the rest of the wedding fund. Young man behind the counter smiled and asked how he could help. I smiled back, calm, still. I'd like to withdraw $15,000 in full. He hesitated, double-checked my ID, then called a manager. A few minutes later, I was sitting at a small desk while the manager handed me the check. Planning something special? He asked. I paused. Actually, yes. Something long overdue. I left with the check, drove to the nearby UPS store, and rented a small P.O. box under a different name, Helen Rivers, just in case Mia tried to forward mail. By the time I got home, my phone had 17 missed calls, most from Mia, a few from Nathan, one from an unknown number. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I made tea. I sat in the kitchen and watched the steam curl out of the mug while the house stayed quiet, peaceful, and then, 4:12 p.m., Mia knocked on my door. I didn't open it, I just listened. Mom. Her voice was muffled, cautious. Can you please open the door? I think things got miscommunicated. I didn't move. She knocked again. Mom, come on. You didn't even let me explain. Nathan's parents were stressed about the head count. It wasn't personal. I almost laughed. Not personal? Not personal to exclude the person who raised you from your wedding. We figured the live stream would be easier. Less pressure for everyone. There it was, agonizir, convenient, clean. I sat in silence. I sipped my tea. I waited. Eventually, I heard her sigh. Her voice broke a little. You didn't have to cancel the payment. The caterer backed out. The venue's threatening to release our date. Nathan's parents are furious. I let the words wash over me like static. She didn't come to apologize. She came to negotiate. Eventually, her voice dropped. If you come to the wedding, I promise we can talk. I need you to resend the payment first. There it was. Conditional love. Again, she left after 10 minutes. Her car peeled out of the driveway. No goodbye. And me. I felt light, clear, not cruel. Just done. That night, my phone buzzed again. It was Nathan. Hi, Helen. I know there's been some miscommunication, but this is really causing a lot of stress. For Mia, we need to confirm the venue payment by Friday or we lose everything. Let's be adults here. Adults. I raised this girl. I fed her when I didn't eat. I walked to work so she could have the car. I stayed up with her through every sickness, every heartbreak, every failure, and now I was being talked to like a loan officer. No thank you. I blocked his number. The next morning, I got a text from Luke, not my son. I don't have one. This Luke was Mia's godfather, my late husband's best friend. He had stayed in touch even after Eli left. A good man, honest. Heard about the wedding drama. Want to grab breakfast tomorrow? My treat. I hadn't been out with a friend in months. I said yes. We met at a quiet diner near the lake. The kind of place with chipped mugs and vinyl booths that smell like syrup and bacon. Luke looked older, but kind. Familiar. You look good, Helen, he said. Peaceful, even. I smiled. I feel peaceful. I told him everything. Not because I needed advice, but because for once, someone actually listened. No interruptions, no judgment, just ears. He leaned back when I finished, folded his napkin and said, you know, sometimes daughters forget their mothers are people too. I nodded. Not this time. I think she remembered, but only because the money stopped. He chuckled, then frowned. You okay? Yeah, I said. For the first time in a long time, and I meant it. After breakfast, I went home, opened a fresh notebook, and wrote 3 sentences on the first page. If your love is conditional, so is my access. If I'm not invited with love, I won't show up with money. You taught me how to be invisible. I finally listened. That afternoon, Sophia stopped by, Mia's childhood best friend. I hadn't seen her in years. She looked tired, nervous. Hi, Mrs. Graves. I know this is weird, but can we talk? I nodded, letting her in. We sat on the porch with 2 glasses of lemonade, like old times. I don't want to intrude, she said softly, but Mia's not doing great. She told me about the wedding, about the money. She's panicking? Is that why you're here? I asked. To plead her case. Sophia shook her head. No. I'm here because I think she really messed up, and because you were always kind to me. Always real. I stayed quiet. She asked me to tell you she's sorry. That it wasn't meant to be cruel. That she just got caught up in the stress of it all. I looked at Sophia. Young. Hopeful. Not yet hardened by years of being everyone's backup plan. Does she want forgiveness, or does she want her wedding saved? I asked. Sophia's lips parted. She didn't answer. Exactly, I said. She reached out and gently touched my hand. You were a good mom, she said. Still are. I smiled, small and sad. Maybe, but now I'm finally being a good person. To myself. Sophia stayed a few more minutes. No big ending, no dramatic turn, just quiet truth between two women who both knew what it felt like to love someone who couldn't see them fully. When she left, I sat on the porch until the sun dipped behind the hills, and I didn't check my phone once. The wedding day came and went. I know because Clara from book club texted me a photo of the venue's cancellation notice she saw posted online. Says the bride's family didn't finalize payment, she wrote. Hope you're okay. I was more than okay. I spent that Saturday morning at a quiet little cafe downtown, reading a paperback mystery and sipping a cinnamon latte while the world outside rushed to get somewhere. No CORSAGES. No seating charts, no livestream, just me, breathing in peace I hadn't felt in years. At some point, the cafe speakers played Here Comes the Sun. I smiled to myself, sipped my latte, and turned the page. No tears, no regrets, only stillness. That evening, I opened my email. One new message from Mia. Subject, please don't hate me. I didn't open it, not yet. Instead, I cooked myself dinner pasta, roasted vegetables, and a glass of the rose I'd been saving. For what? I wasn't sure anymore. A celebration that never included me. Maybe. But tonight, it was mine. After dinner, I finally clicked the email. Mom, I know I messed up. I was overwhelmed, and Nathan's family kept pushing for a small wedding. I thought you'd understand. I didn't mean to hurt you. But canceling the payment without telling us. You sabotaged everything. I just don't get why you'd do that. I'm your daughter. I closed the laptop because here's the truth. Mia didn't mess up because she was overwhelmed. She messed up because she knew I would never push back. She gambled on my silence. On my lifelong habit of swallowing disappointment. For the sake of peace this time, she lost. A week later, I ran into Mrs. Hanley, my old neighbor from when Mia was in elementary school. We bumped into each other at the library. Helen, it's been forever. How's Mia's wedding planning? I hesitated. Then I smiled. It's over. Her eyes widened. Oh no, cancelled. No, just finished. She didn't press. I liked that. Some people chase gossip, others carry grace. Mrs. Hanley carried grace. I went home and checked the mail. A small envelope sat alone in the box. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting. Inside was a wedding photo. Backyard white folding chairs. A homemade arch of eucalyptus and twinkle lights. Mia in a lace dress. Nathan in a gray suit. The photo was pretty. Clean, filtered dot on the back. She had written, I wish things had been different. Love Mia, not I'm sorry. Not I understand, just ... A wish. I set the photo on the coffee table. I didn't tear it up. I didn't frame it either. I just let it sit. A symbol of a day I was told I didn't belong to. And finally, I asked myself the question I had been avoiding for years. Did I raise her to be this way? Was I so busy protecting her from struggle that I forgot to teach her respect? Was I so desperate to give her the love I never received that I let her believe it was hers to ration? Maybe, but I can't change the past. I can only change who I am now. That Sunday, I walked to the community center and signed up for a painting class. I hadn't painted in 30 years. My instructor's name was Renee. She wore glasses on her head and said things like shadows give the light its meaning. I liked her immediately. I sat beside an older man named Alan, who painted trees that looked like fire. He told me he'd just started after his divorce. Sometimes you gotta start over, he said. I dipped my brush into the yellow paint. Yes, I whispered. You do. Later that week, I joined a women's circle at the library. We shared stories, funny, heartbreaking, brave. I talked about Mia briefly. The circle didn't judge. They nodded, sipped tea, and said, you were right to choose yourself. It was the first time I felt seen in months. And it occurred to me then, I was building a new kind of family, one that didn't share blood. but shared something more important: mutual respect. I haven't spoken to Mia in 4 months. She sent a few texts. One voice memo. The last message said, I wish we could go back to how things used to be, but we can't, because how things used to be meant me giving everything and her asking for more, and this version of me. This woman who paints, reads, laughs, and breathes. She doesn't live in the past anymore. I still love my daughter, but I love myself now, too. And that balance. That boundary. It's not cold, it's healthy, it's earned. I once believed that a mother's love was infinite, that it could stretch beyond betrayal, manipulation, even silence. But now I know the truth. A mother's love is not infinite. It is sacred, and sacred things should never be treated like afterthoughts. So, if you're reading this and you've ever felt like the backup plan in your own life, if you've been told to sit quietly and accept less than you deserve, just because it's easier for someone else, don't choose yourself. I did, and I've never felt more free.